Welcome back to lesson number 4 in module 1. Today we're going to dive in a little bit deeper on your actual business structure. Everyone always asks about this next topic, which I want to dive into. It's, do I start as a sole proprietor or do I start with an LLC? So the key difference is, of course, I am not a CPA, but I'm going to refer you to one that is. So what I can do is I can cover the basics. I can give you a 30,000 foot view, but if you want the detailed specifics, you need to consult with a CPA who is familiar with online sales. So at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a great recommendation of somebody who not only is a CPA, but they also are an online seller. So they can give you all the specifics and details that you're looking for. So let's dive in. I want to talk about the first one, which is sole proprietor. Sole proprietor just means you are going to be filing your taxes under your own social security number, and you're not considered a business because you are actually working as your own name. The downfall with doing this is you have no separation of your business liability versus your personal assets. What that means is if you're selling as a sole proprietor, if you get a lawsuit put against you, you're not going to be able to separate anything from your personal life, which means if they come after you, they're not going to take just your business assets. They can come after your car, your house, your bank accounts. But don't let that freak you out. Sole proprietor is totally fine to start out with. That's what we started with before we went to an LLC. Sole proprietor just means you can run under John Smith. You use your social security number on your tax forms and everything is run under your own personal income. That's how most people start out. Totally fine to do that, especially when you're doing this as a hobby. So the next one we'll talk about is LLC. This is how you can separate personal life and personal assets from your business. An LLC is very simple. What you're going to do is you are going to structure this and you have to register your business with your state. You can use services like LegalZoom, your own CPA, but I will tell you they are going to charge a hefty fee for this. Setting up your own LLC is not a difficult task. You are going to go to whatever your state.gov website is, and there will be a section where you can register your business. So when you are an LLC, you are now a separate business. Your business acts as its own person, which means instead of using your own social security number, which is your personal taxes, you are going to get something called an EIN, which is an employer's identification number. Your EIN will be what you put on your tax form as a social security number. Now, of course, it's not technically a social security number, but that is what the business will file under. So it's its own separate thing. Now, a common mistake that is made for people that have an LLC is if you have an LLC, your registered business name, but you are still operating and purchasing with cards and bank accounts under your own personal name from a personal account, there is going to be no separation between the two. So if your business gets a lawsuit against the LLC, because you are not using everything under the business name, you are still liable on personal assets. So if you are going to use an LLC, you need to go through the structure of getting a business bank account. You need to go through and get business credit cards, business debit cards, whatever type of method that you're going to use. Everything needs to be done under your business name. And of course, like I said, I'm just giving you a brief overview. I am not a licensed CPA. So at the end of this video, I'm going to plug you in with the one who can actually break it down more detailed for you. So that's the bare bone basics between being a sole proprietor, which is just your own personal income, your own personal name, versus an EIN and an LLC, which is going to separate the business from you as a person. On that same note, it doesn't matter which method that you use. I don't care if you go sole proprietor, just use your own social security number at the end of the year for your taxes, or if you use an LLC. Either way, the number one mistake that we made in our own business was we did not create a separate bank account for our reselling journey. So what happens is if you are using your own personal checking account, which is where all of your regular job money goes, that's where you pay your personal bills out of. If you are reselling and having that money, whether it be eBay to PayPal, and then from PayPal, you are putting the PayPal money as a direct deposit into your bank, or if you're using Amazon, it's going to direct deposit into that bank account as well. What happens is that money gets mixed up within your own personal finances. And before you know it, you don't know how to separate the two. The issue that we ran into when we did that was we didn't know exactly to the dollar how much that we had made month by month and how much we were spending month by month just on reselling. When you create a separate account, even if you're sole proprietor, you create a separate checking account just for your reselling business, you are now able to accurately track, and it's going to make your accounting a lot easier, by the way. You're now able to accurately track how much you're spending, how much you're making, etc. So with that being said, create a separate account, and not only that, but keep your reselling business, that money stays in the business. That was another huge mistake that we made from the beginning, was we would make a certain amount of money from reselling every single week. We would pull that out of the reselling business, and then we would pay off personal debts and all this kind of stuff that I covered in the first video. And the issue was we had very slow growth because of that. If you are reinvesting 100%, you are building a snowball that's going to help you scale month by month. So if I can give you one piece of solid advice talking about business structure right now, whatever you start with, I don't care if you start with $50 or $5,000, keep that money rolling in the business. So when you get Amazon payouts, or if you're doing eBay and you get those PayPal deposits, whatever the case may be, keep that money separate and keep it rolling back into more inventory. It does not go towards personal credit cards. It doesn't go towards personal debts. Personal life and your business need to stay separate now. Keep that business money snowballing in your business account, because I'm telling you that will be the best way that you can scale. Next topic, when we're talking about business structures and getting your foundation set, is going to be something called a Reseller's Permit. Oftentimes, you're going to hear people call us a reseller certificate, different types of names depending who you talk to. At the end of the day, this just means that one, it's going to allow you to have tax-free purchases in some stores. So for example, Walmart is reseller permit friendly. They even have a section on their website where you can get your little Walmart card done for it. This means you don't have to pay your sales tax when you purchase from these stores. Other stores, not reseller friendly, will not accept a permit, like Target. And also when you get into wholesale, especially with Amazon, vendors are not going to want to work with you unless you have a reseller certificate. Everyone always asks, where do I find a reseller certificate? Where do I get the information? How do I apply for it? Again, most of the time you can go through your local.gov website, and that is how it's done. There's plenty of services out there that can do these forms for you, but I'm telling you, it's really not that difficult to just do a little bit of research on your .gov website and get it done. This is going to vary state by state. Some of them have fees. Some of them don't have a reseller certificate. This is why no one like myself on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, oftentimes we cannot answer these specific tax questions or the reseller permit questions, because my state is going to be different than yours, which is different than the next one. So go to your .gov website, look into what your reseller certificate looks like in the application process, and get it done. So for example, here in Oregon, we don't have sales tax, which is great. But that also means we do not have an official reseller certificate. Our .gov website gives us this tiny little form that acts as a reseller certificate that I fill out anytime that a vendor wants it. I can simply go on to our .gov website and register my business as an LLC for $100. Other states are going to be $200 or $300 to get these types of things done. And oftentimes when you're first starting out, that seems like a huge chunk of money to be spending on something that you don't think you need. But I'm telling you, if you're going to treat this thing like a business and be taken seriously as a business, especially with wholesalers, if you're looking to work with manufacturers, brands, and distributors like we talked about in the last video, you are going to need to show yourself as a business. A lot of times these wholesalers, they don't want to sell to somebody that's working out of their spare bedroom flipping stuff on eBay and Amazon. They're looking to do business to business transactions. So if you can show on paper that you have an LLC, you have your reseller certificate, you have all of these things in place that shows you as a business, they're going to take you a lot more seriously. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about taxes. I will put this right up front out of the way. I am not going to go into any details about how we do our taxes, how you should do your taxes, because like what I just said, every law is going to be different state by state, county to county, city to city sometimes. It's up to you to find a great CPA that's going to be able to walk you through that half of your business. I can cover a few things though. Number one, people always ask, do I need to pay taxes towards reselling income? The answer is yes. Any dollar that you make from your business needs to be claimed as income. Now with Amazon, you're going to get something called a 1099K. You can do your research more in depth on how this works, but I highly recommend you talk to a CPA. All in all, what that means is if you sell at least $20,000 worth of revenue on Amazon in a given year, you are going to have something called a 1099 issued to you. This is going to show your gross revenue, your total sales. This is not your profit. This does not factor in expenses, none of that. They're just going to show you that you sold, let's say, $20,000 that year. If you sell less than $20,000, they're not going to give you that 1099, but it's still up to you. It's your responsibility as a business owner to accurately track your own income and to be able to report that. Now, whether you're doing your taxes on your own or utilizing a CPA, that's totally up to you. Now, going back to the sales tax topic, many of you in many states, here in Oregon, we're blessed, we don't have sales tax, but many of you do. So this is stuff that you're gonna have to factor in. When you are actually out purchasing inventory, if you're gonna pay $10 for a product, just remember you have sales tax, so you're gonna pay a little bit more than that. At the end of the day, when we're talking about taxes, none of us here on YouTube can give you tax advice. I highly recommend that you consult with a CPA, whether it's the one I'm about to recommend or it's one that you find yourself. You can use Google Maps to find local branches that have CPAs, or you can use something like the Yellow Pages to track them down old school, or you can simply use word of mouth. Some things that I like to do is I'll just post on Facebook anytime I'm looking for a recommendation for something in my area. That way you can get some firsthand word of mouth. What you can do from there is find a CPA, and most of them will do some type of free consult with you, whether it's over the phone or you sit down with them in person for 15 minutes. A couple things you want to have them acknowledge and be able to see if they have experience with is online sales, because it's a different world. You're going to hear terms like Nexus, which is technically how the sales tax system works when it comes to state collecting. And again, this is all stuff I cannot go into detail about because I am not a certified CPA, so I cannot give you advice on what you should be doing with that. So consult with local CPAs, find one that you mesh well with, that knows how the online sales world works, and use them. But if you want somebody who is a CPA as well as somebody who's also an online seller themselves, I highly recommend you reach out to Mark 2 of Not Your Dad's CPA. You can check him out on Instagram, puts out amazing content as far as taxes and online accounting. I'll be sure to link up all of the information for Mark 2 down right in the description below. And I will say Mark also has a very in-depth, detailed course specifically for online sellers when it comes to taxes and accounting. It is 30 videos long, goes into in-depth information about what I just talked about. So if you want to check that out for yourself, link in the description below. But aside from that, that has been lesson number 4, covering some of the basics of your business structure and some of the common questions that we get. At the end of the day, I would rather you take this information to heart and actually create a solid foundation for yourself. Have a separate banking account just for your reselling business, snowball effect 100% of your earnings back into more product, and continue to build that foundation that way, rather than doing some of the things that we did in the beginning. We did not have or start out with a separate account. We were mixing in the personal money with the business money, which is not a great thing to do. We were taking money out of the business every week to pay off personal debts, which now I know better, and I wish we would have gone back and snowballed more so that we would have been able to scale a lot quicker than what we did. So that's the point of me getting on here, doing this little video series for you guys, is just so I can share a little bit about our experience, hopefully give you some tips and tricks that are going to help you build a foundation for yourself that we can go and scale your business. Thanks for tuning in. It's been lesson number 4. We'll catch you for number 5.